Hi, we've teamed up with UK Auto Claims to see if you could be eligible to score thousands in compensation. If you've had any cars, vans or motorbikes on finance between 2007 and 2021, go to ukautoclaims.co.uk to start your free simple check. Loads of you will have overpaid and payouts could be worth thousands, so you've got to look into it. Hit up the link below and check now for free. AFTV, Julian, is that it? Are we out, or do we still have a chance?
Of course we're not out.
I don't know, man. The way some people have been talking tonight, I have to ask the question.
Yeah, but that's the most ridiculous thing I've heard tonight. And I have heard some ridiculous things. You know, people are saying that it was an abysmal performance. I actually thought, in some respects, it was a better performance than Madrid. Because, yeah, it was.
Which leg? Hold on, how?
How? Because some of the play that we exhibited was better than Madrid in a big portion of that game. But what we're forgetting here is Madrid, when you look at that team, Real Madrid against PSG, the two have two different reputations. Real Madrid are supposed to be up here, and PSG are kind of I think they're only formed in 1970, and they're not a big team. You know, they've come, they're new money. They're not a great team. But what I saw tonight was probably the best team that I've ever seen come to this stadium. They were just phenomenal, the way they played. And when I'm saying that it was a better performance, it's against the opposition. So when people say they were abysmal, some of the players, they didn't perform, Odegaard wasn't great, this one wasn't great, that one wasn't great. The quality that they're playing against, they weren't allowed to be great. And actually, after the first few minutes, I feared that it would be a similar story that we saw back in, I think it was 2009, when we played Man United. And we had a phenomenal few minutes against Man United in that second leg. And Man United scored that goal, I think Ronaldo from it. Yeah, it was like it was a free kick. And the life gets sucked out of that stadium. And Arsenal were gone. That was it. They were finished. And Man United, I think, went on to score. I think they won 3-1 that night. I think it was 4-1 over the course of the two legs. They won 1-0 over there. But here's the difference: is that the crowd, I thought, was slightly defeated. It sucked the life out of the crowd. It was subdued. But what the difference was the Arsenal team wasn't defeated. Even though we played against a team that was at least on par with that 20 minutes of what we saw against Barcelona all those years ago, that first 20 minutes again was an unbelievable game, is that Arsenal refused to get beaten by, overrun. And as the game went on, they got back into it. And yes, they were phenomenal, PSG, for pretty much the whole game. But as the game went on, Arsenal got stronger and stronger. And some people say, there was the substitutions were awful. The reason why he didn't change it was because Arsenal were on top a lot of the game after the first half an hour. So why would he change it when Arsenal were on top?
Yeah, well, listen, I mean, I felt that, like you said, that the start of the game, definitely all PSG for about the first half an hour, I'd say. Then the last 15 minutes of that first half, I didn't want the half to finish because Arsenal was so on top. Then the second half starts. I think that was a pivotal moment. If that goal stands, we might have been talking about a different game. But those are the margins of the game, isn't it? We didn't take the chances when they came. We did have a couple of really good ones. And then they could have made it 2 right at the end, but they didn't. We're still in it. How do we go over there and change this and turn it around?
Okay, well, the first thing is I don't think we need to change that many things. I didn't think that, there wasn't that much that was wrong with tonight's performance. As you said, there was some very close calls. I mean, the offside, I haven't seen it back, but the fact it took 3-4 minutes to sort out would indicate that it was very tight. And, one of my favourite quotes from Arsene was, life is about millimetres. It must have been literally millimetres. And if nothing's particularly wrong with that performance, why rip it up and start again? I mean, what you've got Partey back in the midfield, so that's going to have a difference. You can put Mourinho back up front. I mean, I'm big fan of Trossard, but I thought we kind of lacked the physicality, the target man, the presence in that position. So we can go back to what we're used to. But again, what we need is that little bit of luck. Because ultimately, the Champions League, we call it a league, but it's not really a league, it's still a glorified cup competition. And when it comes down to, you know, a cup competition, luck plays a huge part. And it's that tight. It was that tight, and it could have gone either way. We could have ended up losing 3-4-0, but on the same side of it, you know, that goal was a good goal, but it hits the inside of the post and goes in. Again, millimetres the other way, it bounces out. In exactly the same way we could have ended up losing 3-4-0, and it could all be over. We could have ended up winning 2-3-0. And the same goes for over in Paris. It's going to be tight, but I don't agree with the fact we have to go for it. I think we need the George Graham mentality over there. We keep it tight for at least the first half. Maybe, you know, after a few minutes of the second half, we push forward a little bit, be a little bit adventurous. But they will come on to us. They will come on to us. The crowd there, I mean, I've been there in '94. And it was probably the most horrendous place other than Millwall that I've ever been to. It was truly an absolutely diabolical place to go to in '94, and I just hope it's not going to be.
No, last time I went there, it weren't bad.
Well, the last time I went there was '94. It was a long time ago.
There's a great atmosphere in that stadium, and I'll tell you that. And so it's going to be, you know. But then there was a great atmosphere in the Bernabeu. They've got to go there and believe they can turn it around, haven't they?
Well, this is the thing. I do believe that they believe, and that's what they showed tonight. Even though they came up against this phenomenally good team, they didn't give it up, and they had some of the best chances. And if, you know, Donnarumma makes brilliant saves, another night, what we saw back in October or whenever it was, he didn't look that great, and maybe he has an off game, and we end up winning the game 2-3-0.